Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Crash Bandicoot. At the end of the last episode, we made our way through the second island, and we have now landed on the third and final island of the game, and it is Cortex Island. So there's actually going to be a lot of backtracking left to do in the game, so we are actually not completely done with the second island, and not even the first, believe it or not. But for now, we are going to get things started with the first level of Cortex Island, and it is Heavy Machinery. So this is where things get a little bit more industrial in terms of setting and environment. Of course, we are kind of inching a lot closer towards Cortex's castle. We have a long way to go until we get there, but for now we are, pretty much just continuing to progress on through the island. So, of course, once we get to Cortex Island, we're going to see a lot more industrial type of settings and some machinery, some I think these are actual robots that were created and designed by, I believe, Cortex. He did design most of these. If not, he had help from, of course, Nitrous Brio, but I'm not going to get too much in the details of that. We've kind of talked plenty about that in the earlier episodes. So for now, we're just going to kind of, focus on what we're dealing with at the current moment. So now these level designs have a very close similarity to Pac-Man World Repacked, and I can't help but notice the factory area in Pac-Man World Repacked is very close in design and layout to some of these industrial levels here in Crash Bandicoot. So there's not a ton of these in Crash, so it is kind of a nice little, change of pace here. I am not really a fan of industrial themed levels or, industrial themed level designs. But for now, we're just going to kind of focus on the task at hand, and that is kind of getting a lot further into the game here. We're pretty much at the halfway mark at this point. I think it's safe to say that. I think my actual progression percentage is actually close to 50%. So we actually might be over that. I can't remember the last time we kind of looked at that in the screen where we had our totals. But anyways, enough of me rambling on. We're going to kind of focus on what we're doing here. So yeah, so the main gimmick here, and I know I kind of took way too much time to get to it, are of course the pipes. So of course hot pipes that are orange, you cannot jump on those, and they will actually blow out steam out of the kind of the tops of them. So you kind of have to avoid that as well when you're making your jumps in this specific level. However, the cold pipes that are frozen, obviously the ones that have the bluer color, those are safe to jump on. So that's something I actually did not know my first time playing through this game. And I just figured that you just kind of had to jump over all of the different pipes. But it kind of makes sense why the cold ones don't hurt you. I guess they're not cold enough to do any damage to Crash. So, but for now, we're going to go ahead and enter the next bonus stage. This is going to be the Tana bonus stage, the first of 2 in this level. So not really anything too complicated here. They are going to throw more of these apple boxes where, again, you have to kind of bounce on them a few different times in order to break them. So again, you just really kind of have to plan accordingly and make sure that you're timing and kind of planning out your jumps in a way where it makes sense, so that way you don't mess up or miss any boxes. This one's pretty straightforward, so again, nothing too crazy there. But we're gonna go ahead and end things off with that one, as Cortex, of course, hauls our girlfriend on out of here. Just like a little tease, having her there at the end of those bonus stages, just for Crash to be completely disappointed and utterly ashamed that he's not able to get her yet. But we're getting closer. We're not quite there yet, Crash, but you are going to be reunited with your loved one soon. So for now, we're just going to avoid all these steamy vents that are, I guess, blowing steam out of them, because we, of course, will take hits from that. We don't have a coup at the moment, so I do not feel like dying, restarting the level, and doing all this all over again. So we are getting pretty close. In this level, I think we can perfect it. But like I was saying in the beginning of the episode, we have a lot of backtracking left to do. I can't remember if these... I don't think... Is there anything underneath these? I think those just fall down. But anyways... For some reason I thought there was boxes or something down there, but I think I'm thinking of a different game or a different level. But anyhow, we're going to continue to get these boxes. But like I was saying... a lot of backtracking still involved. We actually have not even come close to the end of the backtracking in this game, unfortunately. So even though we are on the, kind of the final island here, and we're kind of gearing towards the end, we have still a lot left to go back and finish up on some of the other islands. So, but one thing I did not point out is the backtracking in this game. Well, I guess mainly the colored gem collecting in this game is kind of what I want to say is kind of weird at times, where most of the time once you do collect a colored gem, you are going to be traveling backwards to an earlier level. However, I believe there's only maybe 2 or 3 instances where you actually will be needing a colored gem for a future level that is actually, you haven't gotten to yet, basically. So some that most will require you to go backwards, but some will require you to just finish a later level once you get the colored gem in an earlier level. So just wanted to kind of point that out. I think that's kind of interesting, where I think there's actually another level, I do believe, where we can actually use the green gem or the green gem in. So the green gem still has use. Like, we're not done with it. We went back to Jungle Rollers and got stuff done there, but we can still do some stuff with the green gem, and of course all the other gems we have to find. So we only have 1 so far. So that's going to do it for the Nitrous Brio bonus stage. I didn't really talk a lot about that. I was kind of rambling on as I was doing it. Nothing too complicated there. You just kind of, have to kind of time your jumps on the boxes. That way you can, kind of allow yourself to have a path back over to the finish section of that, or the end section of that stage. So these guys are basically like the mecha versions of the turtles. So you can simply just jump on top of them. Unfortunately, you cannot use them as a bounce pad like the turtles, but they will, of course, die pretty easily. You have a pretty big space there to jump on them. So they're not too bad. But for now, we're going to use these little jump springy things to go ahead and spring our way upwards, collect some of these boxes up here. And yeah, I do believe we are going to 100% this. Yep, right there's our white gem. We are good to go. We have all boxes broken. We did not die, and we had completed all the bonus stages. So we have completed this one all the way at 100%. That is gem number 9, white gem number 9. And yeah, it looks like we're just under... Wow, yeah, just under halfway. So I was a little bit off in my estimation there. I couldn't remember. But now we have unlocked Cortex Power. So this one is very interesting. So we are going to be taking this one on right now. So let's go. Let's jump right into it. Ooh, epic little introduction to a level there. Haven't seen something like that in a while, have we? All right, so Cortex Power. So this is the official beginning of, I guess, Cortex's castle. So there is a lot to Cortex's castle. There's going to be pretty much several levels we're going to have to, pretty much progress through in order to get to the very top, because that's actually where the final boss fight is going to take place, is at the very top of this island, which is, of course, the very top of the castle. So in between now and then, we have a lot left to explore. So this level is going to introduce the slime that we're going to see here, or I guess acid, whatever you want to refer to that as. I guess you could call it either one. They're both pretty nasty, and definitely do not want to get any of it on me, either way, whether it's slime or acid. So this level is pretty interesting. It's not too difficult. You have a lot of obstacles kind of in your path with these laser machines. These are going to be kind of the new gimmick, and man, I hate these guys. I don't know what it is about them. You can't really spin into them or anything like that, so you kind of just have to time your jumps when you see them. But yeah, so this level is going to introduce a lot more of the split paths. So we actually saw this in the very first level. I didn't really even mention it. Way back on Insanity Beach, there was a split path towards the end of the level. So basically what split paths is, the main gimmick with those is you basically just want to make sure that you do not miss anything on both sides. This one's going to have several, unfortunately, so it is very easy to get lost and confused, and I'm probably going to, it's probably going to happen to me at least once or twice in this, run right now. So basically, yeah, split paths, you just want to make sure you get everything on one path, and then once you're able to, and once you kind of get towards the end of one of the paths, as you can see right here, we have kind of like a section where we can kind of turn around and go a different way. So this, I believe, is this the end of the level? Yeah, I was going to say this level's not too long. Yeah, this is the end of the level. So as you can see, we have some invisible boxes that we can't make appear yet, so we need to actually backtrack real quick. All right, so we want to actually go ahead and take this path. We took the right path that first time. We have a guy shooting at us like crazy there. Of course, we took a couple hits or a hit in the process, but we want to make sure we take fine work of him, or make fine work of him. Avoid these lasers, and right here is a gem path. So we cannot do anything with that yet. So unfortunately, we will not be able to finish this level at 100%. Just wanted to show that off. Heading back towards the end of the level, we're going to go ahead and finish up what we can with these boxes. Again, not too worried about getting all the boxes in this run, since we just simply can't, because we need a gem in order to finish everything else here. Just going to take out what we can here, gather some more apples, and everything will be good. Yeah, we have about half, a little over half of the boxes, so we'll come back and finish this up once we have the right gem for it. And again, we have to unfortunately witness Crash being completely brutally assaulted by a bunch of boxes that he missed because, yeah, game logic. All right, so we have now opened up the generator room. So this is actually where we're going to be finding orange gem. Let's get it started. All right, so starting things off, we have a nice creepy view of Dr. Neocortex, just staring into our soul via a screen there. Very nice. I love how he's keeping with the times. He's got to make sure that you know, that he knows his way around technology. He can work a computer. You know, he's flexing on us a little bit there, not gonna lie. Yeah, so this level is pretty interesting as well. So this is where this is pretty much the point of the game where things are going to be kind of non-stop with a lot of different gimmicks, obstacles, and very, very complex platforming. This is the point of the game where I really thought I was never going to finish it on my first time through, going through this third island, but now going through it, it's just really fun, and it challenges me every time I play the game. There's never a time where I want to like pick up a game and play it and just quit, or, you know, call it a trash game or something just because I suck playing it for, like, you know, one time or two different attempts or something. I love being challenged, even if it's a game where... Oh, what, does that thing fall? Oh, I forgot that even fell. But like I was saying, I love a game where I can just kind of go back into it many different times and still be challenged every time. Even though I have beaten this game before, I've never 100%ed it. But I have went through all the way to the final boss, of course, a few times. And I have to say, like, even though it was very challenging at first and very frustrating to the point where I kind of rage quitted so much that it took me a while to get through it. Just because it was a new type of platformer for me. I really wasn't used to the controls at all, and a lot of the platforming in general, so it took a lot of time to get used to that. But once I did, it's more enjoyable, and I love how you have a game where, again, it can be something that starts off very frustrating and very, maybe not likable right off the bat, but there is a lot of potential in games like this where you just have to kind of give it another chance. And this game isn't for everybody. Like, if you're just a Mario type of platformer fan, and that's just kind of, you know, how you roll. Maybe your Donkey Kong Country is kind of more up your alley, or something more along the lines of that, or anything else when it comes to platforming. This may not be everybody's cup of tea, but this also, you know, people have to keep in mind, this came out during a time where games were very challenging back then, especially 3D platformers. This, you know, essentially came out around the time as, you know, like Banjo-Kazooie, you know, Super Mario 64, I think came out a little bit later, or actually earlier. Actually came out a little bit earlier, but you kind of catch my drift where games back then, even though this is a, you know, remastered version, games back then had a lot more challenging qualities to them. You know, it wasn't just a simple, you know, do a few missions, you know, collect this, blah, 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 you know, things like that, like, you know, certain quests you have to complete to, you know, maybe 100% a game. It wasn't just as simple as that. Like, you had to really work for your achievements in some of these games, especially back in the late 90s. Like, I've never felt more traumatized and just like overworked as a kid by just playing video games and growing up playing some of these challenging games. So this wasn't one of the games I grew up with, obviously. I've stated that, but, you know, games that came out back in that time era were all kind of like that in a sense. But this game definitely takes it into overdrive for me. So but I love it, and I love the fact that I kind of, you know, don't want to talk too much about this, but again, love the fact that, you know, you don't know what's coming around in the corner when you're playing this for the first time. So kind of seeing like a lot of different challenges kind of, you know, basically being thrown at me when I don't expect them. It was very overwhelming at first, but now I'm like, wow, I wish I could play the game again for the first time. It was very, very interesting. It was very I had a strong desire to kind of master it and kind of practice playing this game, and yeah, it turned out for the best. But look at that, we have the orange gem. I rambled on long enough, but yeah, for the most part, this is going to be kind of the really just kind of the ins and outs of this game. We're going to be continuing to collect these color gems, the white gems. We have one more key and we will be done eventually. But now we have opened up toxic waste. All right, before we take on toxic waste, and now that we have the orange gem, we can actually go ahead and backtrack over to upstream. Once we get to this point, if you remember where those gem paths were located underneath this giant log, they are now open for us. If we can do a well-timed jump here, we can complete this perfectly. Right in the water, very nice. All right, so now that I've actually jumped on top of the gem path, once you make your way over here by the waterfall, you will simply have a single box, I believe it's one box, that is located right here. All right, so shortly after that Tana bonus section, you want to go ahead and make your way over to the end of the level. And right before taking the exit, we have a final gem path for us that was opened up by the orange gem, of course. We have some more leaves we're going to be traveling across. Again, I love these. Just this idea of traveling across leaves over a pond. Such a brilliant idea. And here we have 2 more boxes right here. So these are the boxes we were not able to get on our first go. Just 3 of them was what we were lacking. But we have them now. All we have to do now is just get through the rest of this. So luckily those leaves or lily pads don't disappear. I feel like that would have been a mean thing they could have done in this game. But they chose not to, so at least they're sparing us some of the heartache. But we have now a total of 11 white gems. Next time on Let's Play Crash Bandicoot, we will be continuing on Cortex Island and taking on toxic waste and doing a heck of a lot more backtracking. So until then, I will see you later.